remember that we are in Fearless, which means that everything that you saw in Game 1, we're not going to see again in Game 2.
Drakos' joy of Fearless yesterday was echoed only by my own, like, in terms of intensity.
100%.
It felt so good to be like, oh, we're not going to see the same picks. Not that we saw, like, exactly the same picks in Game 1. The drafts were a little bit more
But you know what's
eclectic.
open? Azir, Corki, Orianna,
Cassante.
Yeah, Cassante's
I'm not saying
open.
they're not open, but like that's because Game 1 didn't play any
That's
of them,
correct.
right? Which
That's
is, you know,
correct.
a little bit more inventive. So
Varus?
G2, Varus did get banned out by Heretics in Game 1.
No,
G2.
it was G2, yeah.
in
And they're
Game
going to
1.
ban it again.
But it was red side that banned it out, which is left side of the screen.
So yeah.
I usually say something after that.
No, sorry, I got really confused because
Heretics are red side.
No, I understand.
G2 are blue side, Betty. G2 have first pick. So they have another ban now, and then Heretics will ban a champion, and then G2 will pick one.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah?
Yeah, so just to clarify, first pick is on the bottom right side of my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it, cool.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it might be the bottom middle, actually. I don't know how they order it from the outside to the inside.
10 years I've cast, and this is the most confused I've ever been.
All right, so let's go back to what has been drafted and banned so far. Rumble, Gnar, and Ambessa banned away by G2. Sheo and the Varus removed by Heretics.
Yeah, so still Orianna and Azir up and available, and I think that's kind of what the trade you're looking at here. If Heretics maybe want to ban with them, but they don't, it's going to be the Poppy. So I imagine it'll be. I was going to say you'll probably have to go for the Azir here or take Jarvan in this sort of situation, because if you take the Azir, at least you're able to answer for the Jarvan. If you don't, you're able to go for the Orianna, or you can then take the Orianna the upside. This though means that you could actually respond with Jarvan and Azir here with Heretics and try and set up for a strong mid lane that can punish this Orianna.
But then there is the Nocturne possibility for G2, a classic for G2.
Oh, yeah.
But
also
still,
just something, whenever you see any champion available, it's Nocturne in your brain, isn't it?
No.
You look at the top cards of your
Orianna.
library, you reveal it, it's like Nocturne time.
That's
Nocturne
different game.
Orianna.
We got to go back to this one.
It
Right?
is a tried and true combo. The question is, are they interested in it? Because the Azir is very much the expected to come through from Serin. The question is, what do they want to pair alongside it? You did explore the Jarvan, Dagda. Are they as interested in the Jarvan as you are? I mean, it is very good into Orianna, especially when she's got no flash. The combo, yeah. I mean, it's
Low mobility mid, right? You're looking for something that can punish that on repeat, and it's something teams have tried to do against G2 a lot this split, and across the course of Caps being G2's mid laner, is how much can we punish Caps in the mid lane. Pantheon does a very similar thing to the Jarvan, does need to get a little bit closer than the Jarvan does for that initial engage.
Option here of the Wukong if you wanted to, or SkewMond on the opposite side. Like, Ori Wukong's still incredibly strong. Could take the Jarvan themselves, though it's less strong into the Azir. Other options are just to try and take the Corki, maybe a Nami even here, because you know you've got multiple options in the jungle, and you can just try and focus on a strong bot lane for Ansam and Labrov.
Looks like they are going to go towards that bot side. Kai'Sa, the lock. So a bit of dive threat. Neeko as well was banned out in Game 1. Kai'Sa with the Neeko already going in. You've got the Shockwave on top of that with the Pop Blossom. There's a lot of power from G2's bot side, and in terms of area control in fights, Heretics will lock in the Nautilus. 5-15, I think, is what I saw for the win-loss on that champion here in the LEC Versus.
That's usually the case in Europe.
Yeah.
I don't even think we have bad Nautilus players, but it does generally lose a lot.
I mean, it's not much sea near us, so you can't get much practice as a diver.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Now,
it's pretty hard.
G2 can ban away AD carries. I think for Heretics, they want to ban out that jungle pool. The question is, how much do you limit SkewMond? He's had quite the diverse portfolio this split. There's the Nocturne that we were discussing earlier, but he's brought out Wukong, he's played Aatrox. Remember that Jarvan still works for G2 as well. Yeah. It's like, that's the Season 1 combo, right? Just EQ into R, it still works as well.
Really works for
G2. Absolutely.
Well, we can't take MF, so what do we do?
Kai'Sa top MF, let's go. Oh, it could be Neeko top. I did have a little foray in the leagues, but unexpected for that to be the case. Jhin and Nocturne the bans. G2 Heretics will get rid of the Jarvan, so we talked about that Season 2 combination, Season 1
and
combo.
I think G2 will probably get rid of the Corki, just strong into the Kai'Sa, although we have seen some teams being more comfortable to take the Kai'Sa into the Corki now. You do lose out a little bit, but can play quite strong in dives later on. But again, I think like you've got the Wukong still here for SkewMond. I think that's why they want to secure a bot lane that they're more comfortable with, rather than worrying about like Jarvan, Nocturne. They can still take another slap at that jungle.
Corki is the ban. Good call on that, Dagda. Now Heretics looking towards their AD carry. Leave top lane for last pick, get the counter for Tracyn is usually what you'd expect in this situation, especially when you already know the enemy bot. Where will Heretics go? Ice, he does really love these hyper carries when he can get them.
Champs have basically been banned, at least that he's played from this split. He'll have to showcase something new, and it looks like he's going to go for the MF. It's a strong lane bully, something that can gain control of the bot lane 2 versus 2 and synergizes fairly well with the Nautilus. But the problem is going to be that Neeko. That double range matchup is always going to put a lot of pressure onto the bot lane 2 versus 2. G2 need to figure out what jungle they want to play into this right now. Decent amount of mobility on the side of Heretics. Solid front to back. So what are they thinking that pairs nicely with the Xin would be the kind of default response, but with that unavailable, they're just going to lock in their top lane instead. K'Sante going to be a relatively safe blind. Gives Tracyn the opportunity to find a counter pick of his own.
Where is he going to go in that top lane? Looks like G2 might be going for the Trundle jungle. Something we've seen a couple of times. You could, I was going to say you could go Ambessa, but that's already banned out by G2. Gnar as well does work well into the K'Sante and doesn't have that health stacking that can really be a struggle into the Trundle later on.
The G2 comp feels a bit awkward to me though, because when I'm looking at this, it's like, okay, well, Orianna would like something to set her up, which doesn't really exist on G2 side unless Labrov is finding phenomenal flanks, but you're not like grouping people for an Orianna ult. You're relatively short range with the Kai'Sa as well, and she doesn't have something that enables her very easily to move around. Whereas you look on the opposite side for Heretics, you know, Azir, relatively long range. You've got an MF ultimate on the opposite side. You have ways to try and like control zones in fights that I think G2 are actually going to struggle with a little bit with what they're trying to achieve in a fight.
I think Heretics have got way more skirmishing power than they did in game 1.
Yeah.
This means that if Dragons is what they want to prioritize, they have a lot more tools to at the very least contest G2. Kai'Sa doesn't have the strongest one-item spike, which means that compared to an MF who's going to go some lethality item, it gives them a lot more agency to try and skirmish them as well. So I do like Heretics' tools in the early game. Ultimately, though, the biggest contrast that we saw between the two teams is how G2 kind of moved their pressure around the map and how they were consistently able to create numbers advantage and how they then snowballed a few early kills into so much map control. And Heretics need to find a way to slow that down, because if they give G2 that inch, they will effectively take a mile.
And the Heretics need to bounce back after a disappointing game 1. The G2 just want to have more of the same. Also, I like the Trundle into the engage tools that Heretics have. Hard for the shield vault to come in if you have a well-timed pillar. Similarly with the dredge line, the Azir can try and get onto your back line, but shifting sands can also be blocked out by that pillar. We saw SkewMond bring this out against FlyQuest last year at Worlds with camps on the Aurora and had a really good time in the early game, really dominating, controlling the map. G2 will use their pressure to get an early ward towards these Razor picks.
I think Heretics' composition becomes most suffering or smothering when they have control. They're the ones with tempo and they can set up, and G2 have to try and move in towards them, because then you're moving in towards the Azir soldiers, you're moving into the MF ultimate, and it becomes a lot more difficult. And they, as Vedi was already saying, they do have the tools to do that, right? Like, you have the MF with push on bot side, you have push for Gnar on that top end. So I think this is where if Heretics can kind of play through these strong side lanes and get a lead, they should be in an okay spot. But I think if G2 end up where they're the ones in control and they can kind of play for these shock waves or play for Trundle pillars that enable the team to chase, I think that becomes a little bit more dangerous.
I mean, let's not forget that the last time we saw Caps in this matchup, he slaughtered the enemy Azir. Now, the analyst desk broke down for us at the start of the day how this wasn't a singular effort from Caps. There was a lot of involvement from both SkewMond and Labrov, but they have the resources and the tools to make that same process happen again. Orianna naturally wins out on these early skirmishes, and you can already see Caps trying to get in the face of Serin and trade as much as possible. But don't be surprised to see Labrov moving around the map and start helping Caps out to put even more pressure down in this middle lane.
Yeah, you can see his support proximity in the regular season, 18.3% at 14 minutes. Means that his support is spending a lot of their early game, almost a fifth of it, around that mid lane. But Caps, again, even though I think on an eye test, I'd say it's been a relatively quiet regular season for him. When he's dominated, he has really dominated. Absolutely. You think of the leader game, you think of the Azir into the Orianna into Azir game. He can absolutely pop off at any moment, and so far in playoffs, he continues to impress. His rise, Realm Warps in game 1 really put Heretics on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, he's second in KDA, first in kill participation, first in goal difference of 14, first in CS of 14, first in XP difference of 14, the second in damage per minute. Like, the man has just been an absolute behemoth for G2 and continues to impress. And I think that's what has kind of kept G2 together as they made their way into playoffs.
Yeah, I think the inconsistencies of G2 as a whole and their results have basically taken away from how strong of a split the Caps has had overall. And he's been super consistent, and he's definitely in form right now. His Game 1 performance, his roams on the rise were good. Let's see what he can do in this Orianna as Sheo makes his presence known in the bot lane. Hansama and Labrov with that ward will spot him out. And it looks like this is going to be a double Scuttle Crab for SkewMond. Quicker on the clear, gets that bot crab, secures it for himself, immediately paths up towards top, gets that one as well. And now he's got a healthy camp advantage over his jungle opponent.
Sheo looking for Caps in the mid lane here. Caps stepping forward, about half HP with the recall coming out from Sheo. I wonder if they'll just call off any possibility of a fight. They don't know where Trundle is right now. SkewMond has reset, got himself a Sheen, Aegis Assault for the movement speed from Sheo. Flash away from Caps, but the Shield Vault still finds the stun. SkewMond on his way, but only at the tier 1 right now, as Caps has no way out of this. Uses the command, protects Sheo, though, with a spear to his back. We'll get first blood for Heretics.
Great gang timing by Sheo. So moved into that bottom side, bypassed the ward that Caps had set up in that side brush. And you can see where Caps was positioned for so long up in the top of that lane that they just were about to call it off. But Caps just takes that step a bit too far towards the middle of the lane, and immediately Sheo collapses.
The caster curse should be studied.
It is.
He got given a graphic, we talked about him, sung his praises, and what happens? Death immediately.
Should we try it on a grander scale? Here we go. G2 never missed playoffs, and look at how many times they place really well. so rare that they do poorly in playoffs.
That's very true. Oh,
Wait a
hang on a
second.
minute.
Wait a second.
You are coming into the enemy jungle here. Serin looking for some damage himself. Does have his flash. Sheo was forced to flash away, but SkewMond falling low. Serin loses vision, puts a soldier in, gets the kill. Shield Bolt out onto Caps, gets the somebody, gets one in response as Sheo falls. Serin needs to get out of here. Doesn't have that flash anymore. Caps still chases him. The counter curse needs to be studied, guys. Caps gets a double, gets himself a 400 gold lead.
I don't blame Heretics for taking that fight. Like, it started really well. Things were going very much in their favor. The level advantage for SkewMond means that he should win out on this 1v1, but the arrival of Serin changes things. SkewMond then says, screw it, I'm going all in. Flash, traded for Flash. In the 2 versus 1, they're thinking, yeah, we can take this. So Serin saying, you know what, I'll commit to the enemy jungle. I'll get this kill. Caps does the same. And in the mid lane matchup, unfortunately for Serin, Caps just has the health advantage. He gets very close to finding the kill, but with the popped health pot and the health lead, Caps finds himself a double.
Yeah, the command attack just barely clipping onto Sheo as he went for that stun. I think if you got the stun, you get enough for a Comet Spear, and maybe that's the damage that you need to be able to finish off the kill. But now it's 2 kills for Caps, and we'll start off well for Heretics. Suddenly swings right back to even Steven.
Yeah, SkewMond actually surviving for longer because the Razorbeaks dying there gives him the King's Tribute passive, which means he heals up a bunch as those small Razorbeaks die. Now looking down towards this bottom side, Tangle Bomb's going to land onto Stend, who has to flash away early. He is running that Hex Flash, so we'll have at least half of a flash still at his disposal. Both the AD carries going for the culls early, as Hansama has 1 less stack on his right now and about 150 gold lead.
Okay.
Still over and down this bottom side, though. His cams are up on that top half and could hit level 6 off them. I'm curious what his plan is
Caps has no flash, so it's a possibility of just, hey, let's gank the immobile mid laner. Does have Shockwave now, though, and Caps wisely backs away, realizing doesn't have vision control down towards that bottom side. Labrov is opening up through mid lane, disguised as a troll, and should be able to clear out this control ward with the help of his mid laner.
Level up for Caps. Meanwhile, we haven't really spoken about it, but top lane, Tracyn getting a bit of revenge compared to last game, where now with the winning matchup, he gets to get that small push in his favor. He's amassed a healthy gold lead, 400 after securing 2 plates. Means that he's in a pretty good position. We'll see if he can impact the rest of the map later on. SkewMond, though, sets his sights on the enemy red buff, and he is looking to steal that one away rapidly.
Has the smite, and Sheo doesn't have one. So even if Sheo does check into this push, which he'll do with a Comet Spear, but Doesn't connect. SkewMond still able to smite away the red buff and get it. With Caps moving from mid, it would have been really hard for Sheo to take an elongated fight.
Even in the 1v1 with SkewMond having the level 6, it basically makes it impossible now for Sheo to duel the Trundle. So he has to kind of cede control. And again, kind of G2 playing well off of their pushing lanes. This is what we were talking about in the last game as well.
Sheo set up for a Grand Starfall here if Labrov does overstep. Still only level 5 on that Neeko. Does look like 6 because he's embodying champions that have already got over to that level 6 mark.
You have to be a little careful as Hand Sand on this bottom side though. Didn't run cleanse, so if Pantheon ends up ulting in behind them as they push in this wave, and Ice hitting level 6, that can very quickly turn into a dead Kai'Sa. So I think that's why you can kind of see them, well, at least with the wave pushing in, but definitely being more cautious about where they're positioning themselves in this lane.
Serin and Caps in the mid lane here. Grand Starfall coming out. Flash away from Caps, away from the Emperor's Divide. Meanwhile, a hook lining onto Labrov down towards the bottom side. Stend pretty deep here. Bullet time coming out. Not going to connect too much as Labrov does fall low, but able to escape until the flash double up. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Serin taken out by SkewMond and Caps.
Action happening across the rift as G2 find a kill in mid. Heretics respond with a 2v2 kill in the bot lane. The stun was long enough to allow for Ice's bullet time to get the full duration off onto Labrov, getting him low enough to allow Ice to secure that kill. He is the man that Heretics need to get ahead. He is their carry. As Sheo now losing a skirmish, but here comes Ice.
SkewMond doesn't have flash. He uses the Pillar of Ice for the slow onto Ice, and it will manage to keep him at bay. Sheo still looking for a little bit more here. With the frozen domain down, SkewMond has that extra movement speed.
A nice job on the gank from SkewMond as well there. Use the subjugate because it removes 40% of the armor and magic resist. It just has enough, but now Stend.
Yeah, Stend pushing forward a little bit here as SkewMond and Han Summer are there for the chase. Labrov face checked, and Stend paid the price for it.
A silly mistake there from Stend. They should have information that SkewMond is hovering around the river. The crab would be the priority for both junglers, and he walks up and just clears a ward, thinking that it's safe to do so. Ends up losing his life. Nice pillar comes through from SkewMond to cut off his escape, and with no flash, there was nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, G2 have done a really good job of protecting Caps in this mid lane, and then using the pressure that they got off that 2 kills that went to Caps early to then find these small invade windows, find these small skirmishes. And what we thought might give tools to Heretics to actually play for these early skirmishes has actually been turned around with this Trundle pick.
Ice is still that player that I'm keeping my eyes on. His farm has been very good. That kill that he's able to get in the 2v2 has put him in a great position. Going for the early Vamp Scepter. I imagine the BF sword that you mentioned earlier, the BT, going to be that early pickup for the BF. Yeah, BF now going to be secured to the MF. Hitting a nice little item there. Gives her a little bit more power, of course. Doesn't quite compare to the advantage Caps has in the middle lane. But
yeah,
definitely
just a smidge of a lead for Caps.
Definitely a potential win condition starting to accrue for Heretics, and that's very much what they're looking for. First Dragon of the game still not secured. 10 minutes in and relatively late compared to what we're used to here in the LEC. But you can see both junglers eyeing it up. Grubs, though, going to be started off by Sheo.
It's just super risky for either team to start the Drake.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many flank opportunities. You've got Grand Starfall coming out from Sheo, SkewMond getting onto your backline, using a subjugate on your tankier members as he tries to trade here with Sheo, takes one of the grubs away.
Wait, no. Oh, did he actually get the grub? No, he didn't get the grub. He missmited. I think
SkewMond got both.
No, yeah, but it was Sheo who smited. SkewMond still has his
smite. The wrong
Sheo
one.
missmited, missed it, and now SkewMond gets all 3.
Yeah.
It's dire for Sheo.
Yeah, it was. I saw the smite, and I thought to myself, oh, you're trying to get both of them low, maybe you do some sort of tech, but you're right, you just hit the wrong one.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't at least get one grub, and SkewMond just tracking and trying to match Sheo ever on the map. But here's the ult.
Onto Labrov, they'll land a stun onto him. The chase continues as Serin able to dodge to the side and will be gifted over the kill. His second of the game gets him a little bit closer to Caps, but it's still 1,000 gold lead for the Orianna in mid.
And this time, Labrov with the mistake, and it's Heretics that punish. Good ulti comes through from Sheo, catches the support isolated. Serin was also able to move down from mid, so there was no way for Labrov to go. Shockwave onto Serin, he's getting very low.
He goes back in, Emperor's Divide onto Caps, who takes the tower! Serin outplays! The minions take him out in response! 1-for-1 the trade in mid.
No one takes out the Captain Caps when the minions are around. Nicely done, but yeah, I mean, Serin got the trade, but honestly, the wave is still going to push in, so I think he's a little bit less thrilled that he ended up giving the kill over.
I mean, how do I break that down? Caps was just sitting underneath this tower with no flash, and Serin was like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have flash. Let's put it to the test. Chucks him underneath the tower and says, yeah, he doesn't have flash. I'm kind of surprised Serin didn't use his own. I think there was maybe some more room for outplay potential there. Ultimately, though, Caps playing a little too cocky, and Serin gets the punish. 1-for-1 trade. gold, though, difference between the two mid
net
laners?
gain of 200 gold for Caps.
It looks like it's still a win, yeah.
TP's back into mid and just pushes in for another plate. And we'll see Heretics starting up the Drake with the push in the bot side. Sheo's going to pull it down towards this bot pixel bush because that's where they have the vision. Cap stepping across, no shockwave on him, still a quarter of the cooldown left on it. Thank you, paid chatter, very kind of you.
Oh, what's going on here? Hang on a second.
Caught out. Sorry. I'll PayPal you guys later. Instead, caught out the subjugate coming out. Where there's the pop blossom as well for the chase onto Ice. And Ice is down. Yeah, that's the problem. You can start it up, but it's so easy for either team to collapse if the other is already on that Drake. Serin coming across here doesn't have that Emperor's Divide. Sheo's just going to walk back to the relative safety of his mid lane tower. And now G2 will be the ones to start up the Drake, with Caps having that push in bot, and with Hans Summer still in mid lane. It's very hard for Heretics to react.
Yeah, I mean, G2 again are just kind of moving around the map better. Managed to get the pick onto Ice, which is the perfect target, because if you come through that choke point and Ice is able to open up with the bullet time, you're having a miserable experience. But it doesn't really matter. It's now G2 getting that first dragon.
Ultimately, though, I mean, Heretics is still keeping the gold close. Like, if we compare this to last game, it was already dire straits, it felt like, for Heretics. They are skirmishing well. They are doing their best to trade kills where they can. And I'm looking at that gold lead for Caps, and it's scary, but Ice is building a similar advantages. This looks like a Pantheon ult to me.
Broken Blade going all out, has the Zeke's convergence complete already. Grand Starfall in by Sheo, as you say, Vedi. And BB will fall basically just to Tracyn. That was a bit of an assist from Sheo, but Tracyn winning out the 1v1.
And there's another gold lead that's just as sizable as that bottom lane. You're kind of saying these side lanes are where you can put that pressure. And for Tracyn now, first tower going to be secured for him. And hopefully that's an opportunity for Heretics to try and play a little bit more with this Gnar in a side lane and try and explore the options of taking these side lane towers a bit quicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great game state overall for Heretics. Like, it's not all doom and gloom just yet. SkewMond is definitely making his presence known. He is running around the rift, doing what he can. Serin, though, trading.
Ooh, Emperor's Divide not connecting. The shockwaves coming out, and Labrov is here with a blooming burst. And a big old kill. And meanwhile, Stend looking for the flank. No Grand Starfall yet for Sheo, but Stend, if he can get a depth charge onto Caps, who does still have the flash, the chase can continue. There we are. Caps caught up in the depth charge. Dredgeline's going to come out next. Flashes from it. Sheo flashes forward, and the bullets rip through. Sheo takes the kill. Stend tanks the tower, and Labrov falls second. Good route onto Ice, but the third tower shot does not materialize, so Ice able to escape.
I mean, Serin started the play with a bit of a blunder, but it turns into a massive win for Heretics. They find 2 kills. The Gnar moves over to mid lane to catch that wave as well, so Hans Summer can't get much off the back of it. But it all starts with this play with Serin under the tower. Yeah,
Serin tries to make the play work, knows that Caps has the flash, but even then doesn't end up burning as he just tries to go that little bit too far and whiffs on that ultimate as Caps able to just sidestep it. But he knew that folks were on the way, so I think the idea from Serin was connect with that ultimate, hope that I can burn a flash from Caps, and then this makes this play significantly easier. But either way, still have to make it work. So Stend doesn't get the hook, but actually kind of works out because it puts him under tower. He then gets the auto attack, which puts Labrov rooted into the ultimate as well, and allows then Ice and Sheo to tank up the rest of it.
Yeah, Sheo getting both the kills means that he's about 200 gold ahead. Nothing too consequential. It's a dagger in the end, but Caps with no flash and Sheo on the chase. Gonna extend that gold lead just a little bit. Good shockwave into the pillar. Sheo Serin flashing forward. Look at the Caps who has that Seekers. Serin will fall for this. SkewMond on the chase now as Stend's going to join the fray, but look at the flank position for Labrov and Hans Summer. Stend realizes he needs to get the hell out of there. It's a double for SkewMond. Riptide out from Stend. He does escape to the tower. Broken Blade going all out with the Zeke's convergence onto Ice, burning his flash as well.
Caps managing to take one with them was not what I expected off the back of that play. Burning the Seeker's arm guard to make sure he can take one, and that's 4 deaths and 5 deaths apiece now for the mid laners on each side.
That gold lead for Ice disappearing. Sheo's disappears as well. SkewMond now monstrously strong on this Trundle. Just a couple skirmishes, and just like that, it feels like the momentum has swung back the way of G2. Heretics playing with a little bit too much confidence, but we found ourselves with a bit of a bloodbath here in Game 2. Nearing 17 minutes in, we're at 18 kills. Both teams are hungry to find that advantage. Dragon in a minute and a half. Herald is alive, and it looks like a lot of players are setting their sights on the top side of the rift.
G2 been doing their research in terms of itemization as well. It's a Zeke's convergence first for Broken Blade for the ultimate ability haste and that slowing, damaging zone around you. And Bandle Pipe second from SkewMond, knowing that if you're landing those slows, you're getting the extra movement speed and the extra attack speed for your entire team. can work out incredibly well. SkewMond's going to start up this Rift Herald with Caps in tow. Should be an easy enough secure for G2. Still only 1,000 gold lead for them, but for Heretics, you do want to... I mean, do you want to slow this game down? You have a great skirmish comp. You kind of want to find fights where you can.
I think it's not even just, they don't have a choice. At this stage, you kind of have to cross-map because there's no way you're able to get in position to try and take fights. And one of the things that we talked about was the ability to, make picks for Heretics, but actually I think they're about to make one now.
Grand Softball coming out, Caps. Oh, stopwatches the Gnar from Tracyn. Labrov can look for the flank here. The wave pretty easy for G2 to push in. You have the Shockwave and that Hot Blossom. Rift Herald down, Crystalline Overgood still on the tower. Rift Herald will get the charge in. Prey Seeker landing from long range from Hans Summer, but nothing more for G2. They'll get the charge. They don't break through the Crystalline Overgrowth. Caps gonna slow up Sheo with a Command Dissonance. The Pillar of Ice for the follow-up. It's Sheo. You're just a bit too deep. In the Aegis Assault saves him for a second, but the chase continues for G2. Sheo trying to run away. Another Comet Spear comes out, but Caps finds his man. Meanwhile, a TP to the bot side as Tracyn looks for Broken Blade. Huge shield from that teleport. Broken Blade, though, still has the flash. The plated Steel Caps now as well. The Hyper from Tracyn doing a lot of work. All out. Pulls BB towards the Krugs. Gives him a shield. He's able to get away from the Gnar again. Tracyn unable to connect with the wallet either. BB just dashes away. Holds onto his flash. And now Tracyn, is he going to have to flash out himself? Because the collapse is beginning from Hans Summer and Labrov. In the end, he just jumps across to the safety of his Azir.
G2 are playing this map spectacularly. There's a ward just off by Red Brush, which spotted the fact that Ice and Stend had shifted up towards that top side of the map, which is when they pulled off with Rift Herald. As Ice walked back across the ward going towards mid lane, they just re-wrap onto the top side play, get the pick, and then end up sticking around to get the top lane tower as Heretics try and make a play on the bottom side. Heretics just feel dizzy at the moment trying to keep pace with G2.
I feel like Heretics is trying so hard to force so many things. Like, this is a great example. Why are they here?
I mean, Sheo's likely dead. Labrov flashing in as Hans Summer dives in with the Killer Instinct as well. There's the Shockwave onto Ice. Stend trying to flash to safety, but G2 are on the chase. That's two. The bot lane of Heretics already dead. Serin and Sheo need to get out as BB dashes forward. Hans Summer, no Killer Instinct left for him, but he can still land those Void Seekers. Sheo getting chased towards the bottom side. Pillar of Ice coming out to block him against the wall. The Gromp secured. Good double knockback from BB, but all they wanted was the jungler's life.
They tried so hard to contest that dragon when they were way too late to the objective. I feel like Heretics is tunneling so much or trying to fight G2 at all these neutrals, and they are just getting outplayed. They are falling into this trap over and over again, and look, like, he is too late. His team is not there. Sheo is split up. The Shockwave connects onto two. The Pillar splits the team up. G2 just kind of systematically picked them apart one by one as Heretics desperately tried to get something back on the Rift when they're not even that far behind, but the more fights and skirmishes they keep trying to force, the greater the gap becomes.
Really good stuff there from Labrov, finding both Ice and Stend. Had a really good Bard game, having a good Neeko game so far.
If they want to play, let's play.
That sums up your point, Vedius.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
It's one of those things, I'm sure, like, in your head, sounds really cool. And then when you say it out loud, it's like, we are playing, yes.
Yeah.
I disagree. I thought that was a good idea.
It should sound pretty cool,
Yeah.
I guess.
But if you want to bully Broken
Well, no,
that's
because
fine.
whenever
Yeah.
I say those sorts of things, I then immediately internally cringe. And maybe it's just the British accent.
Right.
If you want to play, let's play. See, just
That was really cool.
Yeah, you sound like a bit of a villain. You know?
Oh,
Like,
princess, if you want to play, let's play.
That seemed a little...
That was not.
Where'd that come from?
That
Where
was
was that
when we
from?
play Magic together.
I see,
Yeah.
I see, okay.
Pretty princess.
That's, again, brought that up again,
Yeah.
unprompted,
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah,
There
see,
was a
that
little-
would make me cringe.
Yeah,
I do understand.
Now I'm a
that,
little
yeah.
uncomfortable.
TP,
Now-
yeah.
I get it. I get it. My internal monologue should stay internal.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's what we're doing. So, G2, 4K ahead. One of you could have done this bit, by the way.
No, we're going to make it as
no,
uncomfortable
yeah,
as possible, I
yeah.
think, actually.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Now, Baron.
And Chatter, do you still think Medic is handsome after that? Or maybe you could vote in the Twitch chat. You know?
More handsome, perhaps.
All right, so G2 have set up 4-1. You can see that they've got 4 members pushing up through mid. They've left Caps isolated in a side lane with the Orianna, who has the TP. SkewMond kind of covering the support, and he's now been caught.
Ice has to flash across the wall. Bullet time coming out, but there's the all-out from BB. Sinks in the Intofus and gets himself a kill. A bit isolated towards the backside, but he just dashes across the wall. And now G2 find another. Stend will fall. Tracyn building up that Mega Gnar, but they're all hitting onto a clone. As G2 will turn their eyes towards the Baron. Heretics once again lose their bot lane. I don't really think they have a way into this fight.
Do you think BB says something like, "Oh, it's bullet time"? No, it's killing time, as he took the Miss Fortune prize. It's like,
You want to
what
play?
happens?
Let's play.
Again, unprompted.
I think that one was pretty prompted by myself, but still.
A Baron going to be secured by G2, and I like how quick they were with it. Like, they literally just reset back onto the map. They went straight down mid lane. They don't waste any time. They see Ice's position. They're not afraid to dive the tower. They don't go too deep until they go extremely deep. And then Broken Blade says, all right, let's play. He's able to find that kill onto Miss Fortune. Stend is quick to follow, and knowing that they have the numbers lead, they know they can convert this into a Baron. Heretics have yet, throughout the organization's history, been able to take a game off of G2, and based on this game, it looks like that record will not be broken. 13-0 is the current scoreline for G2 against Heretics, and they're looking to make it 14 with another dominant performance here in Game 2.
That's one of the reasons you talked about it at the start of Game 1, Vedi. Like, G2, when it comes to playoffs, they just tend to succeed. They just tend to do well, even if they do come in as the 7th seed. Here, Ice caught out again. No way for him to get out. And G2 can just march down mid. Like, the defense for Heretics is Serin pushing the side lane, trying to get themselves an objective bounty, trying to get a little bit of gold. But their inhibitor tower in mid will fall. 23.5 minutes in, G2 are knocking on the Nexus.
Yeah, I was going to say, how far are they going to take this? Because Heretics have to reset, but BB soloing out the Azir.
Yeah, Serin able to dodge across the wall to the Gromp. Did use the Emperor's Divide, needs to get back, will use the Hex Gates to get closer. Tracyn knocked up with the Pillar of Ice, Sheo trying to get in there as well. TP coming out from BB as he's going to join the fight. The first Nexus Tower will fall, G2 continuing to advance. And there's the Shockwave, and immediately they kill off Tracyn. They'll dive onto Sheo underneath the tower as well, but SkewMond still really healthy with that Subjugate. Second Nexus Tower down, Ice has respawned, does have that bullet time, but the Hot Blossom will find him again. Ice goes in with a bullet time, a good Pillar of Ice to stop it, as G2 are just ripping through them. Heretics don't have a leg left to stand on, as G2 will go 2-0.
24-36 was the timer we were looking at in game number 1. And they just smashed it in game number 2. G2, that was insane.
They don't waste any time. They run it down mid, and they close out the series in convincing fashion. G2's playoff form is looking solid. Heretics need to go back to the drawing board. The end of their regular season showed some promise, but they're going to have to reevaluate as they move down into the lower bracket.
It's double elimination, so they do get a second chance. You can vote for one of the G2 players in your Kia Player of the Game vote. SkewMond, Cats, and Hans Summer are your options. I mean, player of the series, sorry, not player of the game. I think Labrov has slept on slightly. I think he had a really good bar. Game 2, maybe he had a couple of really good pop blossoms, but didn't need to do as much. SkewMond's game 2, obviously, exceptional. Overall, the team just played really, really well.